That's better. Whoa. A little bit further. Yeah, I need to be further. This is where I need to be. Nope. Too far away. All right, here I am. So, okay, I'm not going to spoil this book for you because I've only read half of it and it's massive. And at any rate, don't worry about me spoiling anything for you. I think you'll only know like characters, vague associations, and a gist of the energy of the book, but nothing of the plot or what's happening. So it's also 150 years old. I'm not going to spoil it, but maybe, well, anyway. I have two things to say about this book. First, I feel like I am in part, I'm like a piece of this writer reincarnated 150 years later. I have some part of this writer's flesh and mind. And I have this like greatest hits of all of these quotes that I've taken from his journals, from his diaries that I want to share. But I think I'll do that at the end because it's only mildly related. I also just want to make a brief note. I basically read in two ways. The first way is trying to identify how a book works. And the second way is to just let it reign over me. The first way is how I read all the books. I try to identify the engine that drives the book forward, but it differs from academic creative writing classes would teach you how to read. I have abandoned those techniques because they have not helped me writing novels. If you're writing too much in like, here's the craft move that I'm doing right now, everyone can read that and see that. So the subconscious and the heart is what's really guiding the kind of work that I'm trying to do. And so that's why I'm not a fan of this like craft reading as a writer. Books work way beyond just craft and what's on the page and this technical stuff. There's this Zen master, Thich Nhat Han, and he was as close as you get to a fully realized being on the planet Earth, pound for pound, in my opinion. And he would tell people sometimes during his Dharma talks that if you need to fall asleep, it's okay, because the Dharma rain will still like wash over you in your subconscious while you're sleeping. There's something to this kind of reading where you're not really looking for what's happening. You're definitely not analyzing craft moves. You're just letting a story happen to you. I'm doing that with Harry Potter right now. I'm about 2/3 of the way through the Sorcerer's Stone. Amazing. I've done it with a bunch of old sci-fi books, and I'm doing it with Anna Karenina. Anna Karenina is one of my favorite classics that I probably ever read. A lot of that is, honestly, the book is really perfect, and I'm Tolstoy's reincarnation, as we know, but a lot of why I like it is the way I'm reading it. So here's what's happening. 19th century Russia is essentially Hogwarts for me. There's nothing about the setting and the world of this book that is relatable at all to my present circumstances, or mostly all of our present circumstances. Basically 19th century Russia and the like aristocracy and the villas and the mansions and the decadence and the corsets and the low neckline dresses. These things are the wizarding world to me. The robes and Quidditch, and it's basically the same thing. The names and the characters and the associations they have, they're just so vast. You know, let me show you. Okay, so here's what's going on. First, we've got Stefan. Should we call him Stefan? Stefan Arkadevich. These names are going to be misspelled and mispronounced. Everyone has about 4 to 5 names. I've seen him called Blonsky and Prince, that sort of thing. This is the first person basically that we meet. He is the hubby of Dolly, aka Daria Alexandrovna. Okay, and she did something bad. That's where the book starts. Boom. Kitty, sister of Kitty. Okay, and Kitty is obviously sister-in-law, and then we get Levin appears on the scene. He is a pal of Stephen Arkadevich, also long-term family friend of Dolly and Kitty. Old Levin is basically, we're just going to put basically Tolstoy, okay? From this situation, we get the first love affair. Levin loves Kitty, but someone else loves Kitty as well, and his name is Vronsky, aka Levin James, aka vron, or I like to call him Vronny. So we've got, as you could see, maybe a little bit of a triangle forming here. Thruple? No, because out from the blue, in comes Anna Karenina. I just like to call her AK. Vronsky also feels a certain way about AK. Problem is, Anna Karenina is married to Alexei Alexandrovich. They're married. But how does this go? Let's put a little broken heart, perhaps. So you've got Levin, aka Tolstoy. Then you've got Stefan Arkadyevich, who is friends with Levin. They're friends perhaps because Levin is also pals with Dolly, Stefan's wife, and has done bad. Actually, my God, it's not. See, what am I thinking? Dolly has not done anything bad. Stefan Arkadyevich has done bad. He is your first morally questionable character. Dolly is just doing her best, okay? Anna Karenina is the one who's got some things she has to account for. And also everyone else. Okay, you know what? Let me restart. Levin, aka Tolstoy. Then you've got Stefan Arkadyevich. They're pals. Oblonsky, he is bad. Married to Dolly, who's sisters with Kitty, who Levin wants to put the move on, but also so does Vronsky, aka Vron. But also in comes Anna Karenina and Alexei Alexandrovich, who are hitched, but is it a happy marriage? We're not sure. So Vronsky is putting moves on AK, and who else do we have? I think that's good. I think that gets us as far as we need to go right now. There's probably 40 to 50 more characters, and they all have about 4 to 5 names. So that gets you associated with what's going on in this kind of fantasy world we've built here. Last reason why I'm reading this book like Harry Potter and letting the book just happen to me instead of trying to figure out how Tolstoy is doing what he's doing, is because I have no desire to write high society, palace intrigue kind of book. That's not exactly what Anna Karenina is, but you get what I'm saying. I watched this YouTube video that talked about like the things you should know before reading Anna Karenina. Video gave the sense that this was an immense and a difficult novel, but you can make it as hard or as easy as you want to. And I think being like afraid or tiptoeing around it or saying that the book is going to take 6 months to read, if you are like a perceptive and focused and attentive reader, it's pretty joyful. Anna Karenina, I'm basically sitting back and I'm in Hogwarts. You know what I mean? I'm sitting back and I'm watching Alan from season 1 on Farmer Who Wants a Wife. That's the kind of reading that this book can offer. And it's way more fun to me to do that with classics than it is like, how can I write Anna Karenina? I don't want to write Anna Karenina. You know what I mean? Here's my only real take that I haven't heard anyone else talk about with this book. This book is fueled by hate. Tolstoy hated writing the book. He hated his characters. He hated the aristocracy in the Russian high society that this book is filled with. He hated the book so much that he canceled the first printing in order to start writing it again from scratch. Here's some, I love, by the way, another reason when I read Tolstoy's diaries from when he was an old man, I just see so much of like my temperament in his approach to writing. And I also see a man that has this like religious and moral scrupulosity that's like incredibly, I don't know, sad and brilliant, and these aphorisms that he's writing as kind of throwaways in his diaries are incredible. But there's a lot of good information that proves that he hated this book, and he hated the characters in this book. He hated Anna Karenina. This book was written in hate, and you can read the hate in it. It just gives me so much joy to think that to imagine Tolstoy talking to his editors, telling them like, I just had this idea for this book. It's going to take me a few weeks to finish. He's all excited about it. And then 4 years later, he hates every single character. What did he call Anna? He called Anna, she was like an adopted daughter that turned out badly. And that was the energy that he wrote this book with. I guess you should know about Tolstoy that he was born into high society in Russia, and he wrote War and Peace before Anna Karenina, which propelled him to literary fame, which back then he was like the person in Russia. So he's writing Anna Karenina, being in high society, being in the aristocracy. Here's some of his quotes I pulled from his diaries. Our very idle, luxurious life oppresses me. Thought today that my life is good because I carry the whole burden of a rich life, which I hate. The sight of people working for me, the requests for help, condemnation, envy, hatred, and I don't enjoy its advantages. If a rich man has a conscience, he will be ashamed of his wealth and want to get rid of it. But to get rid of it is almost as difficult as it is for a poor man to get rich. I suffer more and more, almost physically, from inequality of wealth and of the extravagances of our life in the midst of poverty, and I can't reduce this inequality. Therein lies the secret tragedy of my life. Another thing you need to know about Tolstoy is that he ran away from his house and his family at like 82 years old to escape all of the trappings that he was kind of writing about in Anna Karenina. He wanted a simple, moral life, and he died in the train station running away from the high society that he was writing about in Anna Karenina, and that his own life, that encompassed his own life. And he had this hypocrisy that he was enormously wealthy and famous, and yet the life of that he just despised, and it didn't square with his values and who he was as a person. So that was his secret tragedy. Okay, and then I have to talk about Levin. I love Tolstoy because he included this character in the book called Levin. He's the best and the worst character in the book. Dostoevsky hated Levin and thought he shouldn't have been included in the novel. I love Levin, and there's also some of the worst parts of the book include Levin. I love that Tolstoy was such a genius and so perceptive, but this is why classics are great, because they still have things that would be edited out today. And basically he had this proxy character of himself in the book, which was capable of like the highest literary heights and some of my favorite scenes in the whole book. One of the best parts of the entire book is when Levin decides to spend the day cutting grass with the peasants. It's one of those few times where workaday life becomes something more. It was a transcendent moment in the book. And then also Levin goes on for tens and tens of pages about developing new agricultural methods, and he has this book that he's trying to write about it. It's all kind of silly. And Levin also has this view, which reinforces my idea that this book was written by hate, is because Levin hates the aristocracy. He hates the high society. He wants to be a peasant, but he can't. It's impossible for him to become a peasant. That's Tolstoy. All right. So I want to end the video with why I identify with Tolstoy so much, which is just legendary quotes from his diaries. The novel is an abomination that no longer exists for me. I've just been thinking a lot about work, literary work such as "It was a fine evening, there was the smell of," is impossible for me. I look for my name in the paper. This darkens and obscures my life very, very much. I must fight against it. An astonishing thing. I know myself how bad and stupid I am, and yet people consider me a man of genius. So what must other people be like? You mustn't say of a work of art, you don't understand it yet. If you don't understand it, it means that the work of art is not good, because its task is to make understandable what was not understandable before. Read my story the day before yesterday evening. It's not good. Only wrote a little today and wrote badly. It's time to die, and I'm still thinking up things. That, my friends, is why I love this writer so much.